I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Secret Ball Stories. Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to another edition of Secret Ball Stories, where I invite guests to count down a personal top 5 list in high-fidelity fashion. Welcome back, guys, and we are with the man, the myth, the legend, the owner of Comic Den, and the founder of Oldham Comic Con. It is Dennis Whittle. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
So that's a really good intro.
It was.
Good.
I did try. I tried.
I like that. Yeah.
I think I stumbled a little bit. Might cut that out.
No, it's fine. It's
might
good.
keep that in. Who knows?
Keep it in. I think you should walk in front of me all the time.
That's it. I'll do that. I'll do that every time you walk into a room if I know you're coming, unless you kind of sneak up on me in a Batman Ninja style.
No, I'll plan it because I want that introduction all the time.
You want that?
Yeah, all the time.
The bombastic. I do try for my best. So, we are here to talk our top 5 underrated Batman villains? The villainous ways. I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm here to play my villains. No, it's with a V. Villains. I've had a drink, ladies and gentlemen. I had one drink, so I'm probably well over my limit. Yes, Batman villains. Villainous villains. So yeah, we're here to talk about top 5. And because something very special day is coming up. And it is Batman Day.
Batman Day.
And you, yourself, at the Comic Den, Oldham's premier comic book shop. You're having an event, aren't you?
We are. We're going to celebrate with... The only way that we celebrate things is with cake.
Cake?
Gingerbread.
Yes.
Free comics.
Tell me more.
Lots and lots of free comics.
Lots of comics, cool.
And cake. Did I mention cake?
You did,
Batman-themed cake.
Any deals going on? Good deals on the Batman comics?
We're having deals on all Batman comics in the boxes would be 50p.
Wow, nice.
Graphic novels would be 20% off.
Ooh.
Statues would be 20% off.
Good.
And we'll be showcasing the Batman miniature game.
Oh, nice.
Two people will be playing that upstairs.
Amazing.
I've let them come out from the basement. Into the sunlight of the day.
In full view of everyone.
Yes.
Well, you've got a lot of windows, so that's good.
So they'll be playing Batman miniatures and stuff.
I will be there for funsies. I'm going to dress up as one of the underrated villains I've chosen today. I'm going to do a bit of cosplay. I'm not doing it for a while. It's quite an easy one, relatively. But yeah, I think there's a few other people dressing up. Come down. So it's the 21st. That's
21st,
correct. Yeah.
And we have some limited comics which come with masks.
Wow, limited edition Batman comics.
Yeah,
with
Batman
masks.
metal.
All right.
We love metal.
So yeah. So guys, if you're in the area, if you're in Manchester, even if you're not, if you've got time, come on down, come to Oldham. Join the Facebook group. Comic Den is on Facebook, so post, share, like, subscribe. Oldham Comic Con is also on there as well as a Facebook group, so like, share, subscribe. There's another one coming up very soon, next year, 2020. 16th.
Yeah, we've moved it a week because of the bank holiday.
Okay, so not the exact same day.
No, it's the week after.
Okay, cool. So 16th of
May.
So 16th of May.
Forgetting the date.
You're organising it, so if anyone should know about it, you should know about it. Use your Bruce Wayne powers.
That's why I have good people around me.
That's it. You've got a great Bat family to support you.
I have a great Bat family.
You've got an amazing Bat family. I have to agree. All right. Well, should we just get stuck in? We've got a lot to cover.
Yes, but this links into DC's Year of the Villain.
Year of the Villain,
which is running at this very moment in time, where they're showcasing DC's villains.
Well, I mean, DC, has arguably, possibly, maybe even better villains than Marvel. You could argue in some respects. Maybe Marvel has the better heroes. But I like both.
I'm grimacing right now.
So much grimacing going on. Don't say that. The war continues.
No, I like both as well.
Yeah, we can enjoy both.
But the DC of the Villain runs through every issue, and they're doing spotlights
They did a similar thing a while back for New 52, didn't they? They did like a spotlight, like 23.1 or something on various villains. So that's cool. I love a good like villain-centric story. I've just finished the Ostrander Suicide Squad run, the original run. Amazing, lots of fun. Really good book. Very political as well.
Yes,
surprisingly political. But I enjoy that more than probably the recent Suicide Squad stuff.
The villain this week is one of my choices.
Really?
Yes, there's actually a book out this week with my choice. My choices on there.
Well, let's not spoil it. Let's not spoil it just yet.
I just like teasing.
You like teasing? Well, I've teased. You've teased. Well, let's end this teasing because we're going to have a lot of comic book fans with blue balls. I think we're going to have a lot of that. So,
okay.
So let's get on with the show. So, since you are the guest, Dennis, I would like you to tell us who is your first underrated Batman villain?
Calendar Man.
Calendar Man. Oh.
Yeah.
And his days are numbered, I'm sure.
Exactly. Well, yes. But I like the concept.
Okay.
He's all his crimes are related to either events,
public holidays,
days of the week,
times.
He went through a whole crime spree dressed up as the days of the week. So,
I think I read that recently. Is it Len Wein?
Yes,
one?
Yeah.
Walt Simonson?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he dressed up each day as this person, and Batman was fooled. Because, he can be.
Yeah. You'll definitely know he's drawn by Walt Simonson because he draws Calendar Man not only as Odin,
yes,
but he also draws him as Thor. He does, as a version of Thor. And Walt Simonson obviously had a huge amazing run on Thor. But yeah, go on. Why is Calendar Man underrated? Because as far as I know, for the most part, he's always been considered a bit of a loser villain.
I think that's my problem with him. Because he is a loser villain. He's always like the Z-list. But if you kind of read between the lines, you read like Long Halloween or Dark Victory, for instance.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the main person in there. He's almost like in Long Halloween, he's almost like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He
definitely
knows who's doing the crimes. He's manipulating
he's
the story.
He's very intelligent. It's quite unusual because he's not the killer in these stories.
No.
It's a murder mystery in both stories, very similar. Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb. Batman's coming to him for advice and to almost like a kind of a Riddler capacity sometimes. Like he's intelligent and he's a resource.
And his crimes are never massive. He never wants to conquer the world. He never wants to kind of destroy Gotham City. He just wants money and people to respect him.
And he's got a very weird quirk.
He has, and he's gone away from dressing up with calendars.
As calendars.
Yeah. He's kind of more like a kingpin-looking, bald-head, chubby guy who
and he
sits there.
And he writes, does he write or tattoos?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who's... I know during Dark Victory, and that's what he did. He also masqueraded as Balcone for a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But he's kind of... He's good at manipulating things. But I quite like the campness of the guy. In the early, I like the early stuff.
Yeah.
I think the new stuff's made him a bit too dark. I quite like him with his calendar cape and skipping around the place and with his bags of money and cackling and
I quite like the, obviously like the famous costume he has is a calendar basically. It's like a cape that's all calendar numbers and things like that. But I quite like that Len Wein one that he dresses up like the different days of the week or he'll dress up like whatever particular thing is going on. In Batman the Animated Series, they didn't do Calendar Man, they did Calendar Girl.
Yes.
And she was like a disfigured model, and she would come out in like shades of autumn, spring, and have different things to do with that. And I thought that was a really cool take on the character.
I think originally that's what he did. He came out in the seasons to do crimes and things.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Arkham game, he's a main pinnacle in the Arkham game.
Yeah.
I think it's the second one, isn't he? He's in his
Arkham City, yeah.
Yeah, he's dropping little hints and this and that. He manipulates, and I quite like that.
Interesting little thing about that game is if you change the date on your PlayStation to a holiday, so say New Year's Eve, he will say a unique phrase to do with that particular holiday.
See, how cool is that?
Yeah, that's amazing. I thought it was really cool. It's like a nice little kind of almost Metal Gear Solid type quirk to a game, which was, I thought it was really cool.
I read the early stuff, and then I think Long Halloween was kind of thinking, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And now he kind of pops up quite a lot in the books, but he's still a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a joke in Long Halloween, and he wasn't a joke in Dark Victory.
Definitely not.
And I kind of want him to be a bit more taken seriously. From a kind of intelligence point of view, he's up there with Batman. He knows what he's doing.
High level intellect. Yeah.
And he's quite good at fighting as well, which isn't really mentioned.
I'll be honest, I probably read Dark Victory, Long Halloween, and then what the Len Wein one I read recently. I've not really read any more of his appearances other than that I can think of off the top of my head.
He can fight.
Fair play.
And he has gone toe-to-toe with Batman. Yeah, he's a bit of a joke.
What would how would you necessarily write if you were to write a perfect Calendar Man story? What would you do?
Well, I'd have a full year. I'd have him running through probably every Batman title and have him manipulating the whole story. A little bit like
within the shadows, kind of
have
in the background.
In the background.
Yeah, but
he's the main he's the puppet
main
master
threat
of everything.
Yeah.
And I would have him doing his big moments on good days.
Yeah.
But I would have the days based around like Batman. So, like, first time Batman came to Gotham, he does something on that day.
Yeah.
First time a villain was taken down, have something on that day.
Yeah.
First time Joker, I'd have him kind of like that. So it's almost like he knows everything.
Yeah, it's all set out, it's all planned.
Because he's clever enough to kind of know stuff like that. He is very intelligent.
You can even predict things that
so I'd have a full year because you've got all those days that you could do something with him and have him run right through all the Batman books, including stuff like Titans and things like that.
I think there's a lot of fun you could have. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of crossovers or just like a weird kind of you could have a massive crossover.
I'd make him camp again. I'd go back with the cape and the suit because I think that's maybe makes it a little bit darker because it's yellow and
something a bit different. But yeah, I agree with you. I do think he is a match for Batman in intelligence level, like a Riddler level intelligence or something like that. That he's a detective. But even the Calendar Man, especially in those Long Halloween Dark Age, he's running circles around Batman. Batman's like, give me the information. Where are the drugs going? That sort of thing. And you can't get any, all these kind of mental kind of balletics that are going on.
We know that you know that we know that you know. But I know.
But do we know?
Yeah.
And do you really know?
Yeah.
But don't you know?
And
or is that a game? Yeah.
Could be, but that's real. I like that kind of stuff. And there's very few villains that have manipulated Batman. You've probably got like Ra's al Ghul. You've probably got kind of Bane, who does it on a regular basis.
Yeah, true.
But to say he's such a joke, Calendar Man, he's up there, he's done it, and that's what bugs me a little bit about him.
I've not got Bane on my list, but I think Bane. I watched Hush recently, the animated movie Hush, and they replace Killer Croc with Bane, which I didn't initially have an issue with, but there tends to be when a character is large and strong and muscly, there seems to be that certain writers forget initially how intelligent those characters are. Like, for example, Bane, he becomes, in Hush, they say that Poison Ivy's kind of manipulated him, but he's basically like, me Bane, dog. And I'm like...
Batman and Robin Bane.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm Bane. And I think that happens with a lot of kind of strong or muscular or large characters, like KG Beast as well, was later written as being, after his first appearance, being less intelligent. But they're not. They started off as very intelligent characters, and then the stereotype takes hold, and it irks me that.
Yeah, because like Bane, City of Bane, what's running at the moment.
Yeah, big story.
He's intelligent in that.
Yeah, of course
he is. That's been a year in the making. We've had a little bit on Batman 50. When we know that. Hang on, he's pulling the strings of everything.
Yeah.
But if you go right the way back to kind of like before Nightfall.
Yeah.
He found a way to beat Batman. He broke into Gotham, let everybody out. He did the whole thing. He broke the Bat. He didn't want to kill the Bat because making the a martyr was the worst thing to do. So when they break him, he says, "Sure, he can be."
Yeah,
that's not a brute. That's someone who knows. And he's exactly. It's an island. He's done this. He's not. Yeah. I like Bane. Bane's cool.
I think he's great. I think he's a really good character. It's really. I think his role in Batman Legacy is really cool. That storyline's really good. And the rematches. I think there's always that kind of like, oh, what's this rematch going to be like? And, can Batman handle this rematch? Because it was a very long in the rematches with Bane. Because I know he beat Jean-Paul Valley back to have the mantle of the Bat again.
Yeah.
But his first fight with Bane wasn't for years after, I think.
No.
So for a real long time. But yes, enough about Bane. That's not one of my choices, but a great Batman villain nevertheless. Don't think he's necessarily underrated, but
he's in everything.
He's right in the middle of a big storyline.
Yeah,
so and he's, like you say, he's in control.
And that's what I'd do with Calendar Man. I'd have him a full year. Have him in the background constantly.
Could have him like New Year's Day, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, April Fool's Day, May Day, the list goes on.
Grandparents' Day.
Yeah, the list goes on. And like I remember I worked for a kids company and we used to like post it about a special day. So, and we realized that every day is like 6 things. So one day is popcorn day and the next day is
Lucky Dog Day.
Yeah, bad back day. Take your child to work day. There's all these weird and wacky holidays.
Imagine Calendar Man taking a child to work day.
That'd be a bit creepy and a bit weird, I think.
Depends who the child was.
True. Speaking of children,
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you my first underrated Batman villain. My first underrated Batman villain is one that, much like Harley Quinn, was introduced during the classic Batman the Animated Series. Is not Harley Quinn. It is Baby Doll.
Okay.
Baby Doll is a it's kind of quite obscure character, but Baby Doll is a former sitcom actress. Okay. And she played the role of a kind of, it's kind of like Full House or something like that, like with the Olsen twins. And she plays a kind of similar character to that, known as Baby Doll. She has systemic hyperplasia, which I believe is a fictional disease. And it basically means that her body doesn't age. So she is stuck in the form of a kind of, I guess, 5, 6, 7-year-old. So she's stuck in the body of a child, but she has the brains, the mentality and the intelligence of an adult woman and the needs and drives of an adult woman. So she's about 20 when she films the sitcom, about 20 years old. And during that time, the ratings start to drop. So people initially kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of a playful, sitcom. And she's like, she's got like a catchphrase like, I didn't mean to, this kind of thing. And because the ratings dropped, the producers introduced her cousin Spunky, and he's like the annoying kind of cousin, and the limelight was kind of taken away from her. Then the show was cancelled, and she attempted to start a, professional, realistic acting career. She did Lady Macbeth as an adult. She didn't play the part of Baby Doll. She pretended to, she was playing Lady Macbeth, so played it real and panned awfully. Her career failed. She went off the rails. And the only time she was ever loved and appreciated was during the Baby Doll show. And this caused her to have a psychotic break. In the show, all the cast are kidnapped. And she starts playing the role of Baby Doll. So she's like, she's putting on this kind of twee, childlike voice, kidnaps them, and is going to kill them. She's very, very disturbed young woman. She's played actually by, you mentioned Friends earlier, you referenced Friends earlier, and she's played by the woman who is Rachel's boss, who Chandler sleeps with.
Yeah, and cuffs him.
Yeah, that's the one. And she plays it, and it's absolutely this is so well played and so kind of utterly disturbing, this character. She has all these kind of toys like a bouncing ball and a doll that has a rag doll that has a gun in it, things like this. She has this kind of assistant who knows kung fu as well. It's very bizarre. I think it's a Paul Dini script. I'm pretty sure it's a Paul Dini script. So it's a bit weird and great. And at the end, Batman's trying to assist her, and she ends up in like kind of, it's very stereotypical Batman. It ends up in like a carnival funhouse of mirrors. And she gets the better hand of Batman because she's going through these cramped spaces, and he's struggling because he's such a big guy, struggling. And they go to this hall of mirrors, and she sees herself as a grown woman. And she's like, this is just all pretend. I was playing pretend. This isn't the truth, is it? I'll never be what I want to be. I'll never do those things that I want to do, have children and, have a real relationship, and kind of heartbreaking monologue. She breaks down in tears and Batman kind of holds her and kind of places her hand on her head and comforts her. And it's bloody heartbreaking. Yeah. It is such a heartbreaking episode. It's up there with kind of Heart of Ice and those kind of really good Batman animated episodes. She did make a subsequent appearance where she kind of falls in love with Killer Croc. It's less of a disturbing episode. It's just a bit weird and a bit fun, but it's still there. And it was an enjoyable episode. And I believe she's only appeared recently in comics once in White Knight, Batman White Knight, that I know of. So she is very much an underrated character. I think there's a lot you could do with her. I think you could kind of go after the kind of, the kind of child beauty pageants. I think you could do and say something about that with her character. Like maybe she enters one and there's corruption or something, or, mistreatment of the children, like they're on drugs or something. I think there's something you could say with that. I think that'd be an interesting story. I think the reason she's underrated is that I think Batman fighting a child is not necessarily a threat. You can't really see, he's a mixed martial artist, he's got the gadgets and stuff. I think people don't see that as it would be a genuine threat. Or I think the fact that we don't want to see Batman punching a child, effectively punching a child in the face, is not really something we want to see. But I think there's ways and means about that. You could give it like a toy mech suit or something. Superman, the animated series, did a very similar thing with like Toyman, made him very creepy and weird. And I think there's possibilities there and there's things you can do. You could team her up with a different kind of colourful rogue and have them as kind of a team, or something like that. But I really like it. I think that first episode is so strong, so well written, so well acted, that I just love that character. And I think she represents for me the subsection of the Batman villains that are truly disturbed, truly mentally ill, like a huge level, like they have a specific kind of quirk, like Calendar Man or something like that, but a very kind of on the darker edge of those kind of campy villains. I'm doing it like I did the Spider-Man one, so all of my villains are going to represent a kind of a subsection of Batman's rogues gallery. So this is kind of the disturbed ones. But I really like that character. Are you familiar with that character?
Just from the animated.
Just purely from the anime, and that's basically all she has currently.
Yeah,
really.
I know. She's in White Knight, but not really.
No, it's kind of a cameo. Brief cameo.
Yeah, I kind of like Batman psychopaths.
Yeah,
I kind of the weird people who unhinged and just snapped.
Proper gone.
I think that's again Marvel and DC. I think that's what some of the DC does very well. They do have a lot of unhinged.
Yeah, I think the darker kind of the darker end of the kind of psychopath.
Zaz and people like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to mention a few characters that I didn't choose for that spot. So my runners up were Deacon Blackfire from the Cult, Batman the Cult, which I think is a very underrated book as well. Maxie Zeus, who believes himself to be the reincarnation of Zeus. Deacon Blackfire is a kind of Native American priest who bathes in people's blood to stay immortal. That's, questionable whether he is. Mad Hatter, obviously, quite classic rogue of Batman, one of my personal favourites as well. Firefly, the pyromaniac.
I do like Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly is pretty sick. Flies around in a kind of with metal wings. Victor Zaz, who he believes everyone's walking around as a zombie until they're freed by him, and then he cuts a little gash into his skin. And the ventriloquist in Scarface.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
When we talk about like children and stuff.
Yes.
But it's similar.
It's kind of a creepy, weird. And I think, again, done very well in the animated series as well.
I think we've done it well. Animated series is great.
And what's really interesting about Scarface is he feels like a classic Batman rogue, like he's been around for forever.
Yeah.
But it was only like late 80s, I think. Yeah. But he fit the feel of him and the design and the characterization of him feels very much like in line with something like Mad Hatter, who was created in the 30s and 40s. I really like that. I really like Baby Doll as a character, and I think those are my kind of representation of that subsection of his rogues gallery.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Well, I do try. I try.
I need to pick up my game.
Now, here we go. So now we're on to your number 2.
A little bit different.
Okay. I like this.
Okay. Jean-Paul Valley.
Jean-Paul Valley. Okay. Yeah. Well, we already discussed. Asbats.
Yeah.
Okay. So
more than Azrael. I don't know. I like Azrael. I prefer him as a villain than a part of the Bat family, because when he's Asbats, for instance, he snaps. He keeps hearing voices. And he's a bit mental. Yeah. And I like that.
Yeah. The Order of Saint Dumas.
Yeah, because it all came out of the fact people say, why can't Batman kill people? Why don't Batman kill people? And said, well, we'll give you a Batman that does.
It does.
And then they'll say, we don't want Batman killing like this. People. Yeah. We want it back again.
They did a similar thing with Captain America when they introduced Johnny Walker, the US agent and everything. Yeah.
See, we never actually see him fighting properly.
No.
You've got the Sword of Israel that introduces him, which is he's more of a kind of a sad figure in that. He's been
tragic.
He's been made to do things.
He's genetically engineered. He's been brainwashed.
Not sure. Batman takes him under his wing, and he's like, and you get this kind of. There's also this. He's almost like a Dick Grayson type.
Yeah.
he's kind of like looking after him a little bit.
Yeah.
So then obviously when Batman hurt his back slightly, everyone's thinking Dick Grayson's
clearly
no longer Nightwing. He's going to be no. It's going to be.
Well, Nightwing was off doing his own thing.
He was doing his little runarounds.
There you go.
But then Asbats comes in, and to start off with, he's doing a good job. He's doing what Batman wants to do,
and defeats Bane, which is something the Batman
beats the crap out of Bane.
Cuts him to pieces.
And then he kind of starts changing the suit. First of all, he puts the shuriken thing on his wrist.
Claws come on.
And claws come on, and then he beats the crap out of Robin. Get out of my cave.
Yeah.
Tells everyone to leave, and he becomes this. Beats up Zaz. Drops Zaz. And
oh, it's not Zaz.
Not Zaz.
It's
Abattoir.
Abattoir. Yeah, you're right.
And you've got beats lots of people.
Abattoir is quite similar to Zaz, though.
Long hair though.
Yeah, exactly.
Blonde. Looks like 80s kind of rock.
Pretty much.
But we never see him fight because he kind of reasons with him.
Yeah. I think he crawls out the cave.
His suit has to come out.
Yeah. It's more like a kind of it's a psychological defeat more than a physical battle.
Yeah, but I think I'd like to see them because they are, to me, because of his training.
Yeah.
He could kick the crap out of Batman.
Yeah.
And he's been trained by Batman.
Yeah, as well. So not only has he got his training from Saint Dumas, he's got bat training on
and he's
top
got a
of
flaming sword.
Who doesn't want that?
But he, again, very similar to other people, he knows Batman's secrets. He knows Batman's weaknesses. He knows the Bat family. He knows people who he can injure. Because I think one of Batman's weaknesses are his family. You've got Tim Drake and all the other
Alfred and Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, all the Gordons.
Yeah, all the Gordons. The whole Gordon. whole line of Gordons.
All of them. But he knows all those things. But for some bizarre reason, they turn him into this anti-hero type.
Yeah.
We kept, you had Agent of the Bat where he went and did Batman's bidding. Yeah. And then, to me, that doesn't ring. I like him as kind of, I have him as kind of like working, but every now and then little voices, you know? Go and do something.
Yeah, he'll do something negative.
Yeah, I think that was
because they gave him quite a kind of superhero-esque suit for a while. It's white and red.
Yeah, he's got this. He's now got a big
long
cape,
hair.
and he's got a helmet with little ears on it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think Sean Paul. I think the strength of Nightfall and the quest and all those ones and the kind of stuff afterwards was the fact that he was a villain. He was turned into everything that Batman wasn't, and we never really saw that. Never really came to any head. Really, kind of got away with it.
Yeah,
his crimes kind of got away with.
He almost got forgiven, didn't he?
Yeah,
and like was it his fault?
Yeah, but reading it was his fault. If you he was in control of what he was doing more. He's been genetically to be a weapon, but he'd been with Batman for a very long time. So for me, I think he's a villain, and I think he should be played as a villain. White Knight stuff. I think number 2 is looking at similar in the games. He's more of a villain. I think he's stronger as a villain than he is as an anti-hero. I think he's quite dull as being a carbon copy of Batman with a sword.
In recent years, they've replaced him with another character, haven't they? A similar character.
I think having him a bit unhinged and a bit kind of a loose cannon.
I really, my first introduction to Nightfall was actually the Dirk Maggs kind of radio series. They did like a
that's excellent.
It's amazing. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you don't not got the time to read Nightfall and you don't want to watch a YouTube video, I highly recommend the audio drama, BBC audio drama by Dirk Maggs, Batman Nightfall. It's based off the Denny O'Neil novelization of the storyline, and it fits in sort of Azrael and various other bits and pieces. It cuts out a fair bit, but it needs to really. It's like 3 hours or something, 5 hours maybe. But maybe the YouTube video would be better. But it's fun. It's really good, and it really engrossed me when I was a kid. And then I've always been kind of obsessed with that storyline, and I've kept reading it and rereading it and rediscovering it and missing out the bits that I never read. But I do like that character a lot. And I think it's so fascinating.
90s. I think his costume is so kind of, it could have been Rob Liefeld drawn, that kind of stuff. It's all massive and shiny.
He's got the massive claws, he's got the shooting ninja stars.
And he uses them, he cuts people with his claws, and it's so kind of in your face, rock.
I really like the first, when it's fully armored, that first look. I think when he starts getting more evil and it turns red and all that sort of stuff, it gets too bulky.
I think I can't remember, 500 or something. You turn over the page, you got Batman swinging down, you turn over, it's as real. Sort of stuff. I like that. He has little things, but I like him as a villain. I like him because he is a villain.
Oh yeah.
The Bat books for a year.
Yeah.
Batman was the bad guy. He was the one going around doing what Batman wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So for a year, Batman was the villain, and the villains were kind of running scared and trying to kind of find a way of getting rid of the villain.
He was kind of just interrupting whatever they were doing. It was kind of just like, turn up. It's just like, you must be punished.
Then Batman comes back, don't do it again.
Yeah.
Take your armor off.
Naughty boy. Naughty.
Let us work together. Let us talk and meditate.
No, I think I agree with you. I think he does work better as a villain, as a dark version of Batman. I think you could... I mean, even now you could bring that back.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm definitely going to talk about a little bit more about that a little later with one of my other subsection of villains, don't worry. But yeah, I like the character. I love the storyline. I think it was well written. I love the design of the suit. Yeah, I think it's great. And like you said, I think maybe it is a bit of a cop-out, the ending.
Yeah, I liked him as sort of Azrael. I like his kind of suit there as well. I like his... I do like that kind of armor and the hood and stuff.
Yeah,
and I didn't mention the flaming sword.
Yeah, the massive flaming sword.
It ended poorly for me. Yeah, we did want to see him throw down. It's kind of like, and he did beat Bane, but they just talked.
Yeah, a little bit.
They had a bit of a fight in the cave, threw him against the bat computer,
that's it.
And they went, "Come on,
Yeah,
let's go through these little caverns down here and stuff." I think John Paul Valley as Bats should be a baddie, and he should come back and he should kick Bruce Wayne's ass.
Yes, evil Batman.
Yes, or at least Damian Wayne, because he's annoying.
Damian Wayne is annoying. Okay, well. Now, I'm going to go on to my next one. I think we covered Asbats. I think you'd be happy with that?
No, I'm fine with that.
Cool. So I'm going to go on to my next subsection of villains. Now, this Batman he's a very intelligent guy. He's, detective. He's expert military tactician. He's one of he outthinks villains, So these villains represent the characters that are a mental match for him. So I've picked his first arch villain, Hugo Strange, as his mental match. So Hugo Strange was introduced to be Batman's Moriarty. Before this, he was killing off gangsters left and right, throwing them into acid, shooting them, hanging them from the bat plane via a noose. It was pretty much one and done villains, probably much like Superman until Lex Luthor came along. And he is very much kind of a Lex Luthor type. He's a mad scientist who is an expert in genetics. He creates monster men, he calls them. He is an expert in robotics, can create life-like robotic, copies of people. That's what I want to say. So yeah, he can do that. He's known to escape certain death on every occasion. Probably as much as the Joker has escaped certain death on so many occasions. I think Hugo Strange just as much. He's also like a master psychologist and manipulator. Like he can manipulate people and get to the core of their being and destroy them once he's found their kind of weak spot. Hypnotist, you name it. He's like a master in anything. But yeah, he's one of my favorites. He's one of the only villains who knows who Batman is as well. Like very fairly early on, I think in the 70s, he discovered this. And he tried selling it off to the villains, which I love. Yeah. I was like, I've got this information. How much are you going to pay for it? And the Joker's there, like Two-Face, Penguin, all them.
We'll just take it.
Yeah, they were like, no, we're just going to kill you.
Yeah, and they'll beat out. Yeah.
I think Rupert Thorne, goes and puts him in a barrel or something, throws him off, and is like, yeah, you're dead probably. But yeah, he was introduced way before the Joker, Catwoman, Riddler, Two-Face, all these big villains. Like he was the first one. I think one of the reasons he might not be considered or remembered necessarily is he's not as colourful. He's basically a guy with a beard and some glasses.
And sometimes a white coat.
And sometimes the more interesting thing is when he dresses up as Batman. He believes, he's fascinated by Batman's psychology. It's an obsession for him. That's his obsession. We've had Calendar Man with calendars. Like, he's trying to understand and kind of almost get inside Batman's head and become Batman. He wants to become Batman. That's why he dresses as Batman. He infiltrates the cave. He'll replace Alfred the robot and various other things. And in some continuities, he's also, he's a physical match for Batman as well. Depending on the continuity, there's some ways not so good a physical match, more of a mental thing, like the Arkham City, like we were discussing before. So he has all this stuff, but again, he's got very few appearances, and
they've dumbed him down recently as well.
Have they? What have they done?
Yeah, they just made him. He's almost like just a psychiatrist now. Yeah,
purely just a psychiatrist.
He's 80s, 90s was kind of like high point for me.
Yeah.
Because he's just stole one of mine. How dare he? But no,
we can talk about it. Don't worry.
He is, and he's great. And he similar to Lex, he's gone through lots of changes. Mad scientist,
he's a mad scientist.
Creating this, and he's been a manipulator. He's done this, and like I said, he's created the Monster Men. He's done all these other things, and I love him when he dresses up as Batman because he's Hugo Strange in a batsuit.
Yeah,
which looks amazing.
Yeah, it does look good.
And the covers that he's on is usually just his face.
Yeah, it's just mad. Yeah, it's just like they've got this big vicious kind of grin. I find him really fascinating. Like, I think my favourite story with him is Batman Prey.
Yes.
Which it's set during Batman's early years. Hugo Strange is working with the police. But obviously he's got his own scheme going on. He has like these mannequins of women. He vehemently dislikes women, and he beats up the mannequins like, "Stop laughing at me! You're laughing at my bald head!" Things like that. He thinks he's ugly, and he's got all these like he's a psychologist. He knows his stuff, but like he can't kind of look at himself in that way. He can't self-examine his own kind of idiosyncrasies and faults and flaws with himself. It's purely like Batman is his focal point.
But
again.
The Bruce Wayne thing, he knows it's almost like a one-upmanship with him.
Yeah.
Originally tried selling it or something, but now it's like, I know who you are. Yeah. I'm not going to tell anyone. It's like, I'm gonna cure all the world's diseases. I'm going to tell no one. He's like, I know who you are. But where's the fun in that? I'm going to keep it to myself, and I'm going to do what I can with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But not actually really do anything with it. Yeah. Just know that I know. Yeah. Like we said, I know that you know that we know.
That you know.
Yeah. And I quite like the fact that he knows who he is, and he doesn't really. He's not using that as kind of way. He barely attacks Bruce Wayne.
Well, he
just.
Maybe he believes that the world knows his identity. Then someone else is going to. Better psychologists are going to psychoanalyze him and figure out why Batman does what he does. Because he doesn't truly understand what Batman is. He thinks that I can be this dark avenger and all this, I can... Again, it's a bit like Lex, where Lex believes, why would Superman be Clark Kent? Why would he, lower himself to be Clark Kent?
There's a story when he does try stopping crime, doesn't he? He tries to be Batman. He's like, I don't get this.
Yeah, it's not
I'm so clever, but I just don't understand why he would do this every night. Why he would put his... I don't understand.
Yeah.
Almost a weakness for him as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, why Bruce Wayne? Why not just be the Dark Avenger all the time? Like, that's the most interesting part of you. Bruce Wayne is dull and it doesn't make any sense. Why do you surround yourself with a family of teenage boys? Why would you do that when you're this Dark Avenger and you're going out and beating up criminals? Why have a normal life? And I think he's really interesting. What's great as well is that he seems, because he's got less stories, there seems to be more good creators working on those stories. And so he has a small, collection of great stories, really strong stories. And it's not like Joker, where he's in every Batman book, you've ever read, with, some great, some bad, some middle kind of range. He's in all good stories. Quality, excellent stories, well written, well drawn.
And he's not always the main person.
Exactly, yeah. He's even fascinating just as a supporting character within that story. He has had appearances in the animated series. There was one where he figured out who Batman was, tried to sell it, and there's been other appearances as well. I think he was in The Batman. I think he was played by Frank Gorshin, who played the Riddler in the 60s one. I think he played Hugo Strange for a little while until he passed. And he's appeared in various other things as well. But he is very underrated. Still, not a lot of people know about him. I think the biggest spotlight he got was Arkham City, where he was, he was advertised as being the main villain for most of that game, and he does appear a lot. And he's like Batman, and he's like
got a cool voice.
Yeah, he does. It's brilliant, well acted. But I highly recommend looking out for that. Any appearances by him.
He's one of my favorite villains.
Yeah.
By far, I think I love the way he's drawn early doors as well. When he's running around the place with his it's almost like his white coat's like a cape. Yeah. And he's running around the place and he's manic. But I love it. I'm like you. I like the kind of. There's not a bad story with him in.
No,
he's in it. If he's written well.
Yeah, he is. I
think, and always good writers get hold of him.
Yeah,
it's almost like they know.
Yeah, he reminds me like Doctor Strange and Daredevil. There only ever seems to be quality creators on those books. Yeah. I think it's the same with Hugo Strange. There only seems to be quality creators on that particular character.
It's almost like they get him, don't they? It's like, this is how we're going to use him.
They go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it like that, and this is how we're going to spin him this time.
He would work far better in the City of Bane story.
Yeah, maybe. There you go.
I'm not going to tell you anything because that may be a spoiler.
Spoilers.
I do think he would work better in that, but there you go.
But I'm just saying if there was anything else I wanted to mention about him. I think maybe the other reason we don't see him as much, or we haven't seen him as much in history, is that Marvel has a copyright to the name Doctor Strange.
Yes.
I think that might have been a reason they've not used him for a while, but I think they changed it to Professor or Hugo Strange or Professor Hugo Strange to make sure there's no confusion.
I always thought he would work well in the movies.
I think so, yeah. There was a time where they thought Tom Hardy was going to be Hugo Strange, but then he turned out to be Bane. I thought Tom Hardy was going to be Killer Croc, actually, for a while. I thought he might do a version of Killer Croc. But
I'm not a fan of Killer Croc.
Fair enough. I think that's fair. Speaking of other villains, the runners-up for that mental match, Calendar Man. So I included he was a close pick. I've got another one, Professor Milo.
Yes.
Yeah, Professor Milo. So he's kind of a genetic. Yeah. He likes to make diseases and stuff. And now this one is a little bit left field. Amanda Waller, because she knows who the Batman is. Yes. She can again dance rings around him. She can manipulate him, make him do what she wants. I think she's one of the best DC characters of all time. Anyway, purely just as a creation.
I agree with you.
Clock King.
Clock King, yeah.
Clock King, I think is good. Especially, again, the Batman animated series version. Well done. Talia al Ghul. I would have mentioned Raish, but I think he's well known. I think Talia's she's not necessarily as good at a match as Raish, I think, but I think she's underrated still. Yeah, the beloved. Yeah, beloved. And also I've put in there the Calculator.
Okay.
Because he's kind of like a master hacker oracle type. But yes, that's you and my, what's that? Oh, it's your third.
Third, yeah.
And my second, isn't it? So I guess it's back to me again, isn't it?